What's Gucci, Yoyo bros? It's your boy, 1H Chad, back at it with another one. And today, we're talking about the 5 hardest flexes in Yo-Yo. Anyway, speaking of, I've actually got to hit the gym, so enjoy the video. Alright, time to record. Let's do this thing. Is my camera already running? On magical occasions, certain players go way beyond what's necessary and shatter the standards that have been set to prove inarguably that, at least in that moment, they are the coolest and/or most talented person in the room. And we love them for it. You know they had to do it to them. It's the kind of stuff that legends are made of, what sticks with us and makes us love yo-yo contests. It's really tough to nail down exactly what constitutes a flex, or what makes one harder than another, so today we're actually playing things a little fast and loose. I'm not going to give a solid definition for how we're defining flex, and you're just going to have to trust me. Sometimes you know it when you see it, and that's all there is to it. I'm the Bird, Michael Furtico, and please, take a seat, gather around as we take a look at the 5 hardest flexes in yo-yo history. Number 5. Shu Takada dances at Worlds 2012. If you had 3 minutes to try and score as many points with a yo-yo as possible in order to win a world title, how much of that time would you want to spend yo-yoing? Was your answer 100%? Well, at least in 2012, I think Shu might have disagreed. Donning official party rock gear and performing to the all too recognizable sounds of LMFAO, Shu Takada spent a full 15 seconds of his world's final dancing without playing yo-yo at all. And the man took home the trophy for his first world title. 15 seconds is 1/12 of his freestyle. It's the difference between 91% and 100%, which can be huge in scoring. Now, just the fact that he managed to bring home the title while doing this is more than enough to qualify for this list, but there is more. In 2013, the judging guidelines were amended to clearly state that no technical or evaluative points were to be awarded for anything a competitor did on stage while a yo-yo was not in play. 3 guesses why they decided to clarify that. Thank you, Shu, for a truly iconic routine, and in some ways, the last one of its kind. And you'd better believe I'm not going to end this without mentioning that he kicked the performance off with a raw backflip. This might be the most literal flex on the list. Number 4. Gentry Stein wins nationals on a plastic yo-yo. It's important to set the scene for this one. In 2015, Gentry Stein was not quite the force we know him as today. He was a 1-time national and 1-time world champion, but he held neither title during this freestyle. So what I'm saying is that while Gentry was a favorite for this win, he wasn't quite a shoo-in. This was far from a guarantee. When he started publicizing that he'd be limiting himself by using a plastic yo-yo, I actually had my doubts. Was this maybe just a ploy to get better publicity regardless of actually taking the W? But then he hit the stage and hit a nearly flawless version of his Worlds routine from earlier in the year, and made that hunk of plastic look as good or better than any metal yo-yo. He called his shot, had all eyes and all the pressure on him, and still managed to bring home the title while essentially wearing training weights. Honestly, I think this is the moment where Gentry established himself as an all-time great, someone who's here to stay, leading the competitive scene. Given the state of things now, this may be the last major 1A event that will ever be won on a purely plastic yo-yo, and Gentry did it so deliberately, it's undeniable that he flexed on all of us. Number 3. Steve Brown's blindfolded retirement freestyle. How many players have you ever seen give a speech before they performed? The fact that this routine starts with Steve, microphone in hand, talking directly to the crowd for a full minute is a pretty clear heads up that he's scheming in some way. Got something special to show off. And really, it's all there in that speech. This is his last time on the stage, and instead of taking it seriously in the traditional way, he is attempting something he always wanted to try out. And then he puts on the blindfold, and I mean, even if his vision is blocked out, I think we can all see what's going on here. I'm not sure how much blindfolded yo-yoing you've personally tried, but it's a lot harder than it feels like it should be. And it feels like it should be hard. As a disclaimer, I am not responsible for any damage caused to yourself or the people and property surrounding you, but if you've never done it, give yo-yoing blindfolded a try. It is so much harder than you expect. I have to imagine that this goes double for 5A, but I'm way too invested in my personal safety to find out. This routine was actually before my time, so I don't have a good frame of reference to comment on how it was received in real time, but the fact that he managed to win this BAC, the premier US regional at the time, and his third consecutive title there, would have been a contender for this list even if it was with only the speech or the blindfold. This is the kind of thing you do to get last place in spectacular fashion. It's unbelievable to take the gold this way. And I would just like to clarify that while Steve Brown is technically my boss, this is a completely unbiased list and was not in any way influenced by my sponsorship or CLYW corporate. Number 2. Rei Iwakura names his yo-yo Flawless. Calling your signature model Flawless has the energy of photos taken seconds before disaster, doesn't it? Like you're just tempting fate? And while Rei didn't immediately fulfill the promise of that name, it did not take him long. At Cleveland Worlds in 2016, just a year after the yo-yo's release, Rei did a perfect 4A final to take home the gold. Not a single error or stutter. And his reaction to finishing the routine is really something special. You can tell how much it means to him, how Flawless embodies who he is and who he wants to be as a yo-yo player. Very few people ever go -0 on the world stage, and I think you might be able to count the number of people who've done it in finals on one hand. And yet, 2016 isn't why this is one of the hardest yo-yo flexes of all time. Come 2017, in Iceland, Rei took the stage as the final 4A competitor, and did it again, earning a final score of 98.6, which might be the single highest score ever awarded on the current judging system. Since he was seeded to finals, that means that in 6 minutes of consecutive time on the world stage, he did not make one single mistake. To take home 2 world champion titles, doing a lot of groundbreaking solo ham tricks in an era where very few others even attempted that in contest, on a yo-yo called Flawless. And this second time, there was not so much celebration from Rei himself on the stage. This was just another day at his office on Mount Olympus. He called his yo-yo Flawless and got away with it. No one can say a gosh dang thing about it. That's a pretty huge flex by itself. Before I unveil number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Mostly focused on players already appearing in this video. I think a 5 more yo-yo flexes video will be coming out eventually, and I don't want to spoil that one just yet, because I had to leave out a lot of good stuff here. Gentry Stein calls Worlds 2014. After one of his lower placings at Cal States in 2014, Gentry posted this Facebook status. He didn't enter another event until Worlds. I think a lot of people have made passing claims about how they'll do better or win next time around, but few are so public, so grand in scale, or actually realized. This is a really cool moment that I imagine not everyone remembers or was aware of. Steve Brown in Zoolander. I'm not gonna throw in any footage for this one because I don't want to anger the YouTube, but Steve Brown does act as Owen Wilson's yo-yo stunt double in Zoolander, which, I mean, wow. Jacob Jensen, PNWR 2009. I'm just gonna let this one speak for itself. Number 1. The hardest flex in yo-yo history was obvious to me from the moment the idea for this video came to me. It is a bit less obvious in certain ways than the other entries on this list. There's no called shot, there's nothing impeding the performance or scoring on stage. And yet, on this player's resume, I think there is more than one accomplishment that could earn the title of the number 1 flex. To the point that I'm honestly not sure what to title this entry on the list. So we'll just say this. Number 1. I want to talk about Worlds 2018. Hajime Miura, age 14 at the time, won both the 3A and 4A divisions at that event. I think the story most people know is that this is the first and only time that someone has taken 2 main division titles in 1 year. But here are the stats that I don't think are as well publicized. Hajime is the only person who has ever taken 2 main divisions at Worlds, period. And he did them both on the same day. Hajime's 4A victory was the first time any player won a world title starting from the wildcard round. After this event, Hajime is the only yo-yo player ever who holds more world titles than he has attended World Yo-Yo Championships. Did I mention he was 14 when this happened? And all that is only arguably his hardest flex. You know where this is going. Worlds 2019. Hajime reclaimed his 3A title despite some of the most competitive finals ever in the division, with one of my personal favorite freestyles of all time, full stop. And then, just a few hours later, he showed us what I think is pretty unanimously considered the greatest 7th place routine of all time in 4A. There's an argument to be made that earning an actual world title, as well as being named the undisputed People's Champion in the same year with 2 different routines across 2 different divisions, is even more impressive than getting the proper title in both. But of course, Hajime doesn't have to choose between those. He has both accomplishments on his resume. One truly is not enough. And then on top of all this, there was the time he used his 2 gold medal yo-yos from 2018 to do 3A. If you have to point to a single moment that is the greatest yo-yo flex of all time, we'll go with that one. Despite just turning 17 years old, I think there's a legitimate case to be made that Hajime is better at yo-yo than anyone else on the planet is at anything. And if that's not enough to take the top spot on this list, well, you're gonna have to write a hell of a comment down below to change my mind. Maybe subscribe to the channel while you're there? Before the end of this video, I would just like to say thank you to Connor Seals for helping inspire the idea for this one, and to Talia, Derek, Clint, Joe, and Max for reminding me about a few things I might have forgotten to include otherwise. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. But for now, I've got to fly. What do you think of this list? Who should be in the next one? What other videos would you like to see? Let me know in a comment down below, and feel free to hit subscribe too. Give me a follow on Instagram, @bird.mp3, if you want a chance to throw in some ideas and get mentioned in future videos too. And thank you to World Yo-Yo Contest 2008 Unofficial, C3 Yo-Yo Design, Yo-Yo Factory, Yo-Yo News, Chris Mac G, Yo-Yo Video Archive, Megaflab, and Hajime's Instagram for all the clips used in this video. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody.